Ringenbach. Parenting 101. Parenting 101, Rachel Ringenbach.
You just got home from a long day of work. You're tired, and all you want is a gin and tonic and a little Jeopardy. But instead, you've got to get dinner on the table. Upstairs, you hear your kids screaming. Someone is crying, and something just broke. It might have been your sanity. Parenting is hard work. I don't even have kids, and I know that parenting is hard. But today, I'd actually like to share with you 3 parenting lessons. Now, I know just how much parents love to get parenting advice from people that don't have kids. But I learned parenting from the expert, the master, and the best possible source, my mom. So today, I'd like to share with you how to creatively enforce your rules, how to make sure your kids are behaving even when you're not watching, and finally, how to get your kids to just stop doing that. So, lesson number 1, creatively enforcing your rules. My mom believed that it was important to enforce the rules that she set for us, but it was quite frankly just more fun and less tedious for her to come up with creative ways to do so. A simple example, sitting on her furniture was a privilege, not a right, and you were to do so respectfully. Plopping yourself down on the sofa so hard you could hear the springs inside was simply not allowed. Mom would give you the mom look, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and you had to stand back up and sit down again nicely, or you could choose to sit on the floor. It's a lesson that has stuck with me over the years. In fact, I've actually asked my dog to try it again. Another simple rule that my brothers and I struggled to follow was don't slam the door. Slamming a door in my mom's house meant that you would lose your own door, literally. My mom would have your door off its hinges before you even knew she had the hammer out. And over the years, her door removal technique was perfected until she had the precision and efficiency of a NASCAR pit mechanic. During his teenage years, my brother's door actually spent more time sitting in the garage than his own room. But he no longer slams the door. And as an added bonus, there is simply no more well-behaved kid than one who is trying to earn his door back. I'm convinced that all the Middle East fighting problems could be solved not by sending in another SEAL team, but by sending in a squad of experienced mothers to enforce the rules. So lesson number 2, how to make sure your kids are behaving. My mom always told us that she was like a lawyer. She never asked a question she didn't already know the answer to. But she also knew it was impossible to make sure we were behaving at all times. Now, some moms use that line, I have eyes in the back of my head, but that really limits your kids to behaving to just when they're inside of the back of your head. My mom, though, goes above and beyond that. From an early age, she taught us that God was sitting on one shoulder, and he could see everything you were doing, but Mom was sitting on this shoulder, and she could see everything you were doing. Quite frankly, I was always more afraid of this shoulder with Mom on it than I was of God. You see, God is loving and forgiving. It's in the Bible. Mom does not have to love and forgive quite as quickly. To this day, 28 years later, my shoulder still hurts a little bit. This shoulder here hurts a little bit when I think I'm doing something my mom doesn't appreciate. And I kid you not, somewhere in Las Vegas, this is totally true, my mom has dropped what she's doing and is saying, "What are you doing that I don't appreciate, Rachel?" So lesson number 3, how to get your kids to just stop doing that. My mom, probably like all of yours, was always telling us to stop doing things. Now, she had the usual mom tools like the mom look or this psst noise that she would make that would get your attention in any crowded room. And those things usually worked, but sometimes she needed a little something extra to let you know she really meant it. For that, my mom brought out the big guns. The phrase, knock it off. Now, I really wish I could do justice to the tone and deliverance of this phrase so you could understand just how invaluable this tool was in my mom's parenting arsenal. It wasn't that she yelled it or she screamed it because she really didn't need to. You would actually prefer that she yell at you. You see, the power of those 3 little words came more from this deep frustration that said, quietly, I've asked you multiple times to stop what you're doing. You need to knock it off now. You see, when my mom's voice dropped to that level of lowness, you knew 2 things. First, that she was serious, and second, that if you didn't immediately stop whatever it was you were doing, my mom would kill you. My mom has a piece of paper that she keeps in her Bible. It's actually still there and in use to this very day. When my brothers and I, and occasionally my dad, were misbehaving during church, Mom would pull out this piece of paper and discreetly flash us this small sign that said, knock it off. Even in the written format, this phrase was so powerful, so ingrained, that you could read it in my mom's voice and you would immediately quit whatever it was you were doing and suddenly get very interested in reading your Bible. Now, I may not be able to help you get dinner on the table tonight, and I may not even have kids of my own yet, but I'm more than qualified to help you deal with yours from the years I've spent learning from the Master. So tonight, I hope you'll find your own creative ways of enforcing your rules and trick your kids into behaving even when you're not watching. And I hope you can find a phrase that gets your kids to knock it off, whatever it is, so you can get dinner on the table and a drink in your hand before Jeopardy comes on tonight.